Hello children, let us continue with the electrolysis chapter. Next topic is Arrhenius theory of electrolytic dissociation. What are the points of Arrhenius theory of electrolytic dissociation? First one is an electrolyte on dissolving in water dissociate into free mobile ions. That electrolyte when dissolved in water that will dissociate into free mobile ions, that is cation and anion, and cation and anion they allow electric current to flow through them. Like copper sulfate, aqueous means when it is dissolved in water it will dissociate into copper 2 positive and sulfate 2 negative ions, and because it dissociate into cation and anion and that allow electric current to flow through them. Second, all ions carry charge. Ions, they are carrying charge either positive or negative, and these ions are responsible for the flow of current through the electrolyte. Third one, the conductivity of electrolyte depend upon the concentration of ions in the solution. How much electricity is conducted, that depend upon the concentration of ions in the solution. More the concentration, more is the conductivity. Number of positive charge, that should be equal to the number of negative charge. So there should be equilibrium. Equilibrium should be developed, that the number of positive charge should always be equal to the number of negative charge. Non-electrolytes, they do not dissociate, they do not conduct electricity. Why they do not conduct electricity? Because they contain only molecules, they do not form ions. Degree of dissociation is the extent to which an electrolyte dissociate. Degree of dissociation, how much extent an electrolyte dissociate, that depend upon the dissociation of the electrolyte. So these are the points of Arrhenius theory of electrolytic dissociation. Next is first point of the Arrhenius theory was when electrolyte is dissolved in water, only then it can form ions. But the modern theory says that ions are already there in electrolyte, but these ions are, suppose NaCl, it is made up of ions, that positive ion and negative ion, and these ions are held by strong electrostatic force of attraction. So what modern theory says, that ions are already there in the electrolyte, and this is very true that ions are there in the ionic compounds, and these ions, they are held by strong electrostatic force of attraction. And when they are dissolved in water, when this is dissolved in water, then ions become free. Why they become free? This become Na positive and Cl negative, as oxygen pulls the sodium ion and this hydrogen pulls the negative ions. So there is a pull from the other ions which is there in water, and water breaks this into positive and negative ions. That is why this electrolyte conduct electricity. Otherwise, modern theory is very right that ions are already there in the electrolyte, but these ions, they are held by electrostatic force of attraction. So next topic is characteristics of electrolysis. First characteristic, when electricity is passed through the electrolyte, cations are formed at the cathode as cations they move towards the cathode and anions they move towards the anode. When electricity is passed through the electrolyte, cations move towards the cathode and anions they move towards the anode. And number of electrons gained by the anode, that should be equal to the number of electrons given by the cathode. Means number of electron lost, that should be equal to the number of electrons gained. Product of electrolysis is formed at the anode and cathode. Only hydrogen gas, this is the only non-metal which is formed at the cathode, otherwise metals they are formed at the cathode, because cathode is the negative terminal of the battery and negative electrode. Non-metal are liberated at the anode, as anode is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, so non-metals they are liberated at the anode. Mass produced at the electrode during electrolysis is directly proportional to the quantity of electricity passed. More the quantity of electricity is passed, more mass is formed, and this is called Faraday's law of electrolysis. So let us do once again. When electricity is passed through the electrolyte, cations move towards the cathode and anions they move towards the anode. And number of electrons gained by the anode, that should be equal to the number of electrons given by the cathode. And the product of electrolysis that is formed at the anode and cathode, only non-metal, that is hydrogen gas, that is formed at the cathode, otherwise metals are formed at the cathode, because cathode is the negative electrode. So positively charged ion they will move towards the cathode. Non-metals they are liberated at the anode, which is the positive electrode. Sorry. Mass produced at electrode during electrolysis, that is directly proportional to the quantity of electricity passed, and this is called Faraday's law of electrolysis. So this is all about the characteristics of electrolysis. Next is that process of electrolysis is a redox reaction. Now what is a redox reaction? Where oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously. As cation they move towards the cathode. Suppose the cation is copper 2 positive and it will take 2 electrons from the cathode and become copper metal. So this process, as gain of electron is there, so this is called reduction. So reduction takes place at the cathode and anion they move towards the anode. Suppose the anion is chloride ion, it will lose 1 electron and become Cl atom, and one Cl atom combines with the other Cl atom and becomes Cl2 gas. So loss of electron, that is called oxidation. So oxidation takes place at the anode and reduction takes place at the cathode, as both the oxidation and reduction takes place during electrolysis. So electrolysis is a redox reaction. Our next topic is what is the difference between dissociation and ionization. So what is dissociation? That is separation of ions already present in the ionic compound. As ionic compound, ions are held by electrostatic force of attraction. When ions get separated, that is dissociation. And ionization, that is formation of positive and negative ions from molecules which are not initially in the ionic state, which already ions were not there, but When dissolved in water or when melted, only then positive and negative ions are formed, that is the ionization. And ionic compounds, they show dissociation, and polar covalent compounds, they show ionization. Like KCl, when dissolved in water, it will dissociate into K positive and Cl negative. And HCl, which is a polar covalent compound, when dissolved in water, then it will give the H positive and Cl negative ions. So this is ionization and this is dissociation. Both are breaking up, both are, here the ions are already there, here ions are formed. So this is all about what is the difference between dissociation and ionization. Dissociation is shown by ionic compounds and ionization, that is shown by polar covalent compounds. Let us do one practice, that is electrolysis of molten sodium chloride. Electrolysis of molten sodium chloride. Suppose this is the electrolytic cell and this is having two electrodes into it, and this is positive, this is negative, and here it is molten NaCl, and this is, because this is connected to the positive terminal, so this is anode and this is cathode, and they are inert electrodes. Suppose they are made up of platinum. This is generally I am giving you how electrolysis is done. First step of electrolysis, that is electrolytic dissociation. As NaCl is the electrolyte, so it will dissociate into Na positive plus Cl negative. Second, ions at cathode. As cathode is the negative electrode which is connected to the negative terminal of the battery, so positive ion will move towards the cathode, opposite ions, oppositely charged ion will get attracted, so positive ion will move towards the cathode. Next is ions at anode. Which ions? That is chloride ion, because anode is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, so this is positive electrode. Now reaction at cathode. Which ions are there at the cathode? That is sodium ion, and sodium ion that will take electron from the cathode. Cathode itself is having electrons, so this will become sodium atom or sodium metal. As this is gaining the electrons, so reduction takes place at cathode. Fifth is reaction at anode. Anode chloride ions are there, and chloride ion, they will lose one electron and this will become Cl atom. And non-metallic elements, they do not exist in the atomic form, so one Cl plus another Cl, that will give Cl2 gas. And this process where the loss of electron takes place, this is called oxidation. Now sixth step, that is product at cathode. So what is formed at the cathode? That is the sodium metal. And what is formed at the anode? That is the seventh step, that is product at anode, that is greenish yellow chlorine gas. So this is the general way of doing electrolysis. There are 7 steps. First step, electrolytic dissociation. Second steps, ions, at which ions will move towards the cathode, which ions will move towards the anode, and what is the reaction at the cathode, what is the reaction at the anode, and what is the product at cathode and what is the product at anode. Next topic is electrolytic dissociation of NaCl. This is very important, that in the solid state NaCl does not conduct electricity. In the solid state it does not conduct electricity. Why it does not conduct electricity? Although the ions are there into it, positive ion and negative ion, oppositely charged ions are there, but these ions are held by strong electrostatic force of attraction. So ions are not free, so they will not conduct electricity. Why they are not free? Because they have strong force of attraction between them. But when in the aqueous state when the NaCl is dissolved in water, what will happen? On dissolving in water, slightly negatively charged, water is H2O. So slightly negatively charged oxygen atom that exert pull on the sodium ion, positively charged sodium ion, this oxygen exert pull on the sodium ion, and same way similar pull is exerted by hydrogen to the chloride ion. So similar pull is exerted by this hydrogen to the chloride ion. So ions get separated, and when they get separated, when ions become free, only then they can conduct electricity. So this happens in the aqueous state. Now what happens in the molten state? What happens in molten state? When this NaCl is heated, as strong electrostatic force of attraction is there, but when it is heated, when heat is given, what happens? That this strong electrostatic force of attraction which is there between the positive and negative ions, that weakens and ions become free and they can conduct electricity. So the question is that in the solid state ionic compounds do not conduct electricity. Why they do not conduct electricity? Because there is a strong electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged ion. In the aqueous state, when dissolved in water, that oxygen as well as hydrogen exert a pull to the oppositely charged ions, and ions become free and they can conduct electricity. But in the molten state, why they conduct electricity? Molten state, that is also called fused state. And why in the molten state ionic compounds conduct electricity? Because when the compound is heated, this electrostatic force of attraction that weakens and ions become free. These ions become free and they can conduct electricity. I hope you understood today's topics. Thank you very much.